Hello and welcome to In Case You're Considering, the podcast where I tell you not to watch something, therefore making it all the more likely that you're actually going to watch it. I'm your host Dustin Friesenhan, and in case you were considering watching films by the Asylum, maybe I can change your mind.
Hurricane David is poised to be the first hurricane...
It's a storm. That's what's driven them all up north.
I've never seen so many of them nor so bold.
It's barely even raining.
It's flooding here, and not the plumbing, the ocean.
You need to go home.
I'm not going anywhere.
Storm's coming and it's coming fast. Just can't sit back and watch this.
Named after the benefactor, Leonardo da Vinci.
Mr. Da Vinci, I believe you have something to tell me. You figured out some way to tell us his story 500 years after his death.
We got 5 minutes to make the train to Athens.
It is over. The shark is dead. No one can conclusively say the megalodon was killed.
We're on a hunt, Lieutenant McCormick, to kill a shark.
These things were designed to survive. They survived for more than 400 million years. You know these crocs, they have the intelligence of you.
Who's talking about a crocodile?
All you need to do is focus on a 1,500-foot pissed-off crocodile that's heading up the coast. Yeah, and a hungry megalodon chasing him. Ah! Again! Tell them to hit it again!
I told you I'd be here for the payoff.
Now this is slightly different from my usual fare of picking a specific movie, or in the case of August Underground, picking a small series. This is an entire production company with pretty much hundreds of movies, and they pump out like dozens every year, or a dozen a year. And the thing is, I like bad movies. I like a lot of bad movies. I do think Troll 2 is a masterpiece. I do think that Plan 9 from Outer Space is a lot of fun. But like I was saying on Plan 9 from Outer Space, so bad it's good is kind of a tricky line to walk. And The Asylum, it's sort of what would happen if your dad was trying to make a movie that's so bad it's good for the kids, but is just entirely out of touch and trying to make money off of it. From what I'm reading, at the very least on the wiki, they were failing at trying to make some independent low-budget horror films, which is normally what happens, and then they make a low-budget adaptation of War of the Worlds, which happens to be released the same year as Steven Spielberg's, and Blockbuster orders a bunch of their movies, and they're like, wait a second, maybe we can sort of latch on to movies other people are making, and people will accidentally watch our films. They say they're not trying to trick anyone, they're just trying to get their films watched, but when you've got so many films that are named almost the same thing, it kind of seems a little bit like you are kind of trick 'em. Instead of the Da Vinci Code, it's the Da Vinci Treasure. Instead of 10,000 BC, it's 100 million BC. Instead of 11-11-11, it's 11/11/11. And they're similar plots, just done really poorly. So you might almost as a random viewer see it on Netflix or see it in a video store and think, oh, maybe this is a sequel I never heard of. And you pick it up and you watch it. Or if you're somebody buying movies, I suppose like Blockbuster or Netflix, maybe you think that it's something of actual quality. Nowadays, you're not likely to make that mistake quite as much, but they've made a name for themselves with Sharknado, basically, as being a company that makes a bunch of bad movies. But even Sharknado, which is their most popular one, I can't get behind. Yes, it's stupid. Yes, the special effects are bad. Yes, the acting is poor. But there's something about it that just doesn't seem genuine about any of their films. I've seen a good dozen or so of them, and they all feel like they're trying way too hard to make these bad films. It's not coming across naturally. You almost feel like they're sitting there thinking up, okay, what's the next dumbest thing we can do? When it's a low-budget, crappy film that I enjoy, I feel like there's heart in there. I feel like in Troll 2, there was lots of heart. Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff in it, but it was done in a way that was really heartwarming. It was really endearing to watch Troll 2. When I'm watching Megapython versus Gatoroid, and you've got 80s star Tiffany fighting with somebody else, and then they both stand still and they start doing the lyrics to I Think We're Alone Now, just sort of from one to the other as a little bit of a nod to, hey, we got Tiffany, oh, get it? And then you see the constant Megapythons and Gatoroids using the exact same 2-second gif of their animation walking up. You know they have some money. You know they can do better. They're just choosing not to, it seems, to make money. They're latching on to other people's films to make money. The studio that I would recommend instead of these guys is Troma. They also make a bunch of bad movies. They are the longest running independent film studio basically in America. They've been doing this since the 70s. And you feel that they're actually trying to do something with their films. Kaufman says that he's looking for the next sort of script to produce, but he wants it to be something that nobody else would do, something that's original, something that's shocking. And that's sort of what they do. They do a lot of crazy, shocking films. They do a lot of the exploitation with the gore and the sex and the bad special effects and this, that, the other. But it has a heart, and the whole thing that they do has a heart. And yeah, they reuse a lot of stuff, and that's become sort of a Troma Pictures thing. The car crash from Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD, they use that in any film now that they have a car crash. And yeah, it saves money, but they constantly lose money. And they still keep going at it. This is something that he loves to do. And they are known for distributing just over 1,000 films, getting a lot of people their starts in film. They brought over the first Miyazaki movie, if the internet is to be believed, and distributed that for us. And watching some of their dumb movies like Killer Condom, which I think I might get Mike to watch for one of the upcoming All Things Considered. It is super dumb. It's super weird, but it actually has a purpose. It has a plot. It has a message at the end of it. I've read somewhere, and I couldn't find it in my research before doing this episode, that they're following an old 19th century French film technique where you're not supposed to empathize with the characters. You're not supposed to see them as real people, because that takes away from the plot of the story. That takes away from the message you're trying to give. And it definitely shows. If you're watching Poultrygeist the Chicken Undead, like it's utterly ridiculous. You're not going to ever empathize with any character. You're not going to feel any tears for them whatsoever, no matter what happens to them. And so, as they would say, it's not distracting you from what you're supposed to glean from the film itself. When I watch a low-budget film, the thing that I'm often doing is I'm taking a look at the different qualities. I'm looking for the gold in that little pile of crap that they've got going on there. Maybe in a low-budget film, okay, the acting is bad, the special effects are bad, but they had a really neat idea for the film. Maybe they did something very interesting in terms of special effects. Maybe you actually had somebody who was a really good actor and just surprised you with their performance. A couple good scenes that just really stick out. Or was it just so ridiculous that it had you laughing the whole time, whether or not it actually intended to? But looking at all the Asylum films that I have seen, it's just the dumbest thing followed by the next dumbest thing. It's not really surprising at that point. It feels every single time like that's what they were trying to do, and trying way too hard to do it. It's not something dumb that happened and you think they're like, I can't believe they did that. It's something dumb and you're just, alright, yep, that's extra dumb, I guess. It doesn't evoke any of the feelings that any of the other dumb movies that I'll see have. Normally when it comes to watching an Asylum film, I would, on Netflix anyway, because that's where I've seen most of them, and the star rating isn't something that would ever detract me. Their predictions that I wouldn't like it never stopped me from doing that. Because, as I said, I like to watch a bad film every now and then, turn my brain off. And it didn't really surprise me at all to learn that The Bell Witch Haunting was an Asylum film based on just the terrible, terrible writing that they had in it, where everything was dumber than the last scene, and nothing anybody did made the slightest bit of sense. That was the worst one of them that I have seen, and the only one that I would have rated 1 star on the old Netflix system. I'll never get behind the thumbs up, thumbs down. It's, where's my thumb sideways? Where's my neutral rating? At least give me that, Netflix. But back on track, The Bell Witch Haunting, I thought it was a different movie that I was watching. It's capitalizing on probably one of the other 4 Bell Witch Haunting movies that are out, and one that probably came out at around the same time. But you look at a Troma film like Cannibal the Musical, there's no other film like it, and that shit is funny. It's actually got some cleverness in it. There's a scene within where Trey Parker is Alfred Packer, one of the famous old school cannibals, due to a botched sort of trip from Utah to Colorado back in the day. Whether or not it was on purpose or not, nobody really knows. And this is supposed to be his story, but they come up upon a Indian tribe, the Nihonjin, which is, of course, Japanese for Japanese people. Back in the day, in old westerns, they used to have Asians playing as all the natives, because I guess that was easier than to find a Native American in America. Racism is weird, long story short, but they had, their teepees had the Japanese flag on it. They all spoke in Japanese. That was a clever little in-joke for anyone who understands that. They're more clever films than you might think. Whereas the Asylum, there is nothing really clever going on. It's Axe Cop level random BS happening. And yes, there is an audience for that. There's a lot of people who like Axe Cop. I like the premise of Axe Cop, but Axe Cop is just stupid for the sake of being stupid. It's heartwarming, the backstory, but I'm not watching the backstory, I'm watching Axe Cop. And I'm sure many out there will fervently disagree with me and say Axe Cop is awesome. And there's definitely a lot of people who say The Asylum is great, or must, since every single one of their films makes them money, which is something that doesn't happen for poor Troma Pictures. And I could certainly see why, because they do much crazier films. They do stuff that, as Kaufman would say, is unique, that nobody else would ever do, that is shocking. Killer Condom, for example, about a group of people who genetically engineer lampreys to look like condoms to give to the underground gay community in Germany in order to bite the dicks off of a bunch of gay people. That has a message, and that's definitely a little bit more out there for most people. You're not going to have a lot of people watching that, but the way they present a number of things, especially at the end when they do the whole detective finds out what's going on and sort of breaks it down for everybody. There's often those kind of portions of these Troma films where they will almost just sit you down and give you a message, a little Aesop's Fable sort of storyline closer here. And it somehow works, and you feel that they were actually going for something and that they had a purpose in doing this. Lloyd Kaufman doesn't make a lot of money doing this. Here, he fronted most of Poultrygeist himself, and that was a huge flop. He lost like $250,000 on that sucker. But he still does it, and he still distributes films, and he still does everything he can for the independent film community. This is something that he loves. It's something that he believes in, and it comes through in his production company and his films. The Asylum, I can't think of anything but a boardroom with executives sitting there trying to make the most money. It's the feeling that I've always gotten from their films. And it's really disappointing as somebody who likes bad films to see it flooding that market from people who are doing their damnedest to get involved. I see them having the odd famous name, usually people who would be considered has-beens. The song Has Been by Shatner coming to mind. Whereas Troma was the start of people's careers. It was something that put them on the map. It's not somewhere where they ended up afterwards because no one else would take them. No offense to those actors, because they might as well just be there just having fun. Hoover Ball, he makes bad films and he gets some pretty big names in there, and that's just a weird... It is actually meant to make money because films that lose money due to specific legal things going on in Germany can recoup that loss and not get taxed on it. It's a weird sort of scam to make money back by making a purposefully bad film when it comes to Hoover Ball. And even those sometimes have something that I can get involved in. Those ones are closer to so bad it's good. The Asylum seems like from the top down to be a big cash-in. And I never thought that I'd be defending Hoover Ball in the slightest, because I don't like his films either. They're also garbage. But at least it's only one person making those films. And at least he believes in them. And he's certainly willing to lie to others and trick them into boxing matches so that he can beat up untrained critics in order to defend them. Pretty much all I'm trying to say is that give independent films a chance for sure, but The Asylum, they could be doing so much more with it, and they don't have the heart that independent films do. And it's really disappointing because I don't want to see B films move in this direction to try and just work off of people watching them ironically, try to get that market. The accidentally bad films or the films that are B films that captured the hearts of people back in the day. That's the kind of film that we should be sort of investing in and trying to propel forward. The Asylum is never going to move past this formula that they have. And it's a formula that makes them money, but you know me in capitalism, screw that. It's not all about money, it's about doing something worthwhile, and I just don't see any of that in their films. Check out Troma, check out other indie films, check out the old classics. If you want to check out the Asylum films, I certainly can't stop you, but keep in mind what it is that actually makes a good B film when you're watching it. Watch a bunch of Mystery Science Theater 3000 and see what made those films fun, and think, what would you do if you were Mystery Science Theater 3000 watching these films? I'm not sure that Mystery Science Theater actually does these films. They just wouldn't have anything to work off of because they themselves are the joke. There's no riffing on it. It's just, this is too sad, and you back away. And before I just ramble on and on saying the same thing, I'm just going to feel sad for these films and back away. So if you were considering watching films by the Asylum, I hope that maybe I'll save you a couple years worth of time, because there are a lot of them. So until next time, I've been your host, Dustin Friesenan. Thanks for listening. Take care.
So for anyone to argue that we're taking anything away from the studios is laughable.